بحب ارحب فيكم جميعا اصدقاء بحب ارحب بسعاده السفير موجود بيناتنا. عشان في ناس ما بيحكوش عربي بحب اطلب منكم الاذن عشان ضيفنا ما بيحكيش عربي ارحب فيكم كمان باللغه الانجليزيه من اذنكم. Good evening everybody, friends of the Dara, dear friends of the Dara and your excellency who is with us today. Today we are here all to welcome Dr. Gerald Matt, who is with us today to talk about the artwork of Amal Kenawy, our featured artist, for the next 2 months. Dr. Gerald Matt is the director of the Kunsthalle in Vienna. He's also professor at the University of Applied Arts in Vienna as well. There is no better person to talk about the works of Amal Kenawy but Dr. Gerald Matt, so very proud to have him with us. He has known Amal's work years ago, since years. He met her first at the Darat Biennale and then followed her work through different projects they worked on together. And he has been following her work with great interest. So today we are very proud to have him with us to share his expertise, his intuitions and his actual thoughts on Amal's work as an artist in the international scene of art. So please help me welcome Dr. Gerald Matt.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear Suha Shuman, dear Amal Kenawy, and dear Laura Khoury, I refuse to use microphone, so I hope that you can hear me. I will try to speak loudly. To refer to what you said, Laura, there is one person who can speak maybe more clearly, more profoundly about the work of Amal Kenawy. It is Amal Kenawy herself. So I did an interview with her for the catalog, and I will, in my speech now, I will also refer to that interview. And there for sure is another person who could easily speak about Amal Kenawy. It is Simon Jami, curator who is also here with us today, and who did this marvelous, great show, Africa Remix, where Amal Kenawy's work played a great part. But now to my thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, the Swiss artist Paul Klee once said that the function of art, or let's say more emphatically, the miracle of art is based on its quality to make the invisible visible. In a variation of that words of Klee, I like to call my lecture on Amal Kenawy's art articulating the unspeakable in pictures. My talk, as I said before, do you hear me? Also those people back? Yeah. My talk, as I said before, will be based on an interview which I had the pleasure to do with Amal on email in the last weeks, which also will be part of the catalog for the show. This, I hope, will create a kind of dialogue for you, the audience, between Amal and me, or in other words, a chance not only to learn about how I recept the work of Amal Kenawy, but also to hear her speaking about her ideas and concepts. When I saw her work first, and Laura already mentioned that, when I saw her work first at the Biennale of Dakar, I think it was The Room, a video which you will see later, with the performance Amal is executing here in the foundation. I got immediately interested. There was something very specific, special, something not easy to read or understand. There was something like a secret which made me curious and attracted me. And whatever I will say now about the work I followed in the last years, a work which got a lot of international attention, from that Africa Remix show to a show we did in Kunsthalle, some stories, and a lot of other shows and presentations of her work around the world. The work which changed and developed. But nothing changed in terms of intensity, in terms of personal artistic emotion and engagement. There is still that wonderful secret, and I think it's this secret in art which gives quality, which gives magic to the artwork. a secret which doesn't stay on the level, and I quote an Austrian philosopher, Wittgenstein, who distinguished two spheres, the space of the real and the space of possibilities. And it's a secret which doesn't stay on that space of the real, but opens up an enormous space of possibilities. So coming here and speaking here to you tonight is also a an expression of my respect and interest for the work of Amal Kenawy, and also for the incredible professionalism and admirable engagement for the arts by Suha Shoman and her foundation for the Arab world here and internationally. When you look at the exhibition, and you had the opportunity before I started to speak, you find a great variety of works. You see the video, you see the paintings, but you also see those wonderful drawings which you can't give enough attention to. They are the basis, the source of all that work you can see. And there is also text by Amal Kenawy, which makes clear how much her work is connected with a spirit of poetry and lyrics. I may quote what she said in our interview, and now I quote her. I think of drawing and painting as the visual equivalent of writing, their principal function being to convey an idea or explore a subject. So I will begin with a poem, with a text of Amal Kenawy. I dreamed of a purple artificial forest. I created an artificial purple theater, parts of home furniture, human parts. The bed was surrounded with electricity pylons. I was lying, parts of human body, hand, legs, a face, all looking into the mirror. The only thing I see him devouring my picture, parts of home furniture, dinner table. And I melt into a tunnel of endless darkness, parts of home furniture, human parts. Ladies and gentlemen, partial bodies, body parts, dissolution of the self and transcendental apotheosis of being. The mirror stage as formative of the function of the self and cannibal extinction of the individual through attacks of anthropomorphous concreteness. The quoted poetic text Amal Kenawy wrote in the context of developing her video installation, The Purple Artificial Forest, meticulously lists the elements of her art. It is an aesthetics between dream and oblivion, between the real and the phantasmagoric, between the individual and the general, a journey to the center of the self, a passage through various stages of excitement and inner turmoil, which is projected outside onto a world of objects and forms running berserk, where detached body parts are like plants, violently sprouting branches that grow and multiply and disappear again. The inner world of the outer world of the inner world. The purple artificial forest, a purple artificial theater, and at the same time it's doable, which stages the dark, which drives the waking consciousness, which forbids itself as claustrophobic compulsive acts. Purple satire plays against white backgrounds that provide a stark contrast to the vulnerable components of the human being. And I quote Kenawy again, I use a lot of purple in my work because I find that it suggests the liveliness of man and captures his vivacity. This is due to the color's likeness to that of blood. And blood, ladies and gentlemen, is, as Goethe has taught us, a very special fluid. Its discrete transformation to something purple, it hints at the élan vital, the vital force of the body, and the liquid pulsating through it, color shifts turning it into something abstract. The reduced palette makes us focus on similarities and differences, on connotations suggesting themselves, and on strange moments which we cannot decipher within the harmonies of recognition. One could link my art to surrealism, says Amal Kenawy, because of my heavy reliance to symbols, metaphors, grotesque inventions, and absurd turns. Yet I would rather describe my approach as expressive. I aim at representing the inside world and the invisible by means of graspable, recognizable forms. Born in Cairo, Egypt in 1974, Amal Kenawy defies all categorizations. To call her a video artist would be imprecise, would be a wrong limitation. And in and for her work, Kenawy has been director, scriptwriter, and actress rolled into one. Her means of expression as an artist comprise an enormous range of different media, as you can see here: drawing, even sculpture, photography, animation, video, music, which is also very important in the videos, installation, and what you will experience today, performance. This all seems to be a part of continuing, unending, multiple project. A work which, like a composer does with his music, develops and plays with motifs and themes, verifies them, let them appear and disappear. So her work has also a lot to do with timing and rhythm. It's not about final answers. It's not about final objects. It's about continuing questions. It's a work in progress. A work which resists not only the categorizing grid of Western cultural and artistic norms, but also the needs and pressure of an art market which looks with a gargantuous appetite for objects for sale and identifiable brands from, in that case, the Mideast. Due to similar motifs and homologous compositions, Amal Kenawy also has often been compared to famous female artists such as Louise Bourgeois or Eva Hesse. But Kenawy emphatically rejects such classifications and insists on the idiosyncrasies of her extremely individual universe of pictures. She says, "I would not say that my work has a conscious feminist direction. It is pertinent to all human beings. Its main concern is to explore the emotions that are felt by humans, including love and pain." Kenawy's reaction is also quite restrained when it comes to the issue of Islam. And I quote her again, "As a human being and as an artist, one is of course influenced by one's social and cultural environment. But Islam is only one determining factor within the Arab society's systems of social regulations. To say that Islamic traditions or codes provide a direct or indirect frame for my work would be to lump Islamic societies in one extremely simplified and generalized category. Muslim societies reveal an enormous variety and quite different forms of organizing ways of living and thinking." So, where Amal Kenawy's art encompasses an exploration of the Islamic context, it is used just as one, but for sure important factor of socialization. But her main focus is, as she says, how experiences and surroundings affect an individual experience, or vice versa, how an individual affects his surroundings. And it is this focus on an individual perspective which allows her work to get this broad, general, human expression and position. Thereby she uses an aesthetic of symbolic bricolage that fragmentizes and particularizes its social and cultural milieus and condenses segments of these. So think of the blood I already mentioned. Think of the knighthood of oppressive mnemonic traces, the chimeras of wars occupying the self's bowels. But that all condenses to a meta-poetical catharsis. What matters, says the author Octavio Paz, is to get rid of these fictitious personalities which the world forces upon us or which we have created ourselves. Smothering us, the self hides our real being from us. One of the central ideas of Amal Kenawy's work is to find pictures, forms and colors that express the things that cannot be said. The artist's selective perception provides an instrument of practicing rites of passage that again and again question the transition between the for itself and the in itself. To put it in drastic terms, the artist's attention focuses on nothing less than being, and those illusionary things that have to be reconsidered due to their unstable ontological status. I quote her again. "I think of artistic creation as a means for expressing the essence of existence. I envision art as a track that runs parallel to the track of life. I'm not really centering on my personal dreams and traumata, but rather see myself as a figure or as an agent expressing feelings and experiences of universal significance. The exhibition presents video works conveying different views of Amal Kenawy's theatre of desire and cruelty, theatre of pain and fear, hope and despair. Besides the above-mentioned purple artificial forest, the show also includes frozen memory. And the purple artificial forest, by the way, I think it was the last work which she executed in collaboration with her brother. So there is the purple artificial forest, the frozen memories, a work fathoming the socio-cultural codifications of marriage and death, and Stop You Will Be Killed, in which the real rooms, it's the work here, of a colonial hospital provide a scenario for a dance of images, including abstract drawings, archaic motifs, and portraits of the artist. A place full of traces of violence still be felt after 30 years of abundance. The fourth work, The Room, is the work you will see after my speech, which is the center of the performance Amal is going to do. The room features a beating heart of white fabric and gloved hands, slowly and mechanically sewing ornaments on it, while the body remains invisible. The work unfolds an imaginarium of inner convulsions, evokes the familiar in craft skills, and carries us off to a sphere where the logic of irrationality results in confusion. Amal Kenawy's art outlines a melting process in a tunnel of endless darkness, as she says. Purple rivers washing parts of bodies into the valley of death. Stairs spiraling upward, narrowing until the curtain of twitching, bleeding intestines blocks all further progress. Behind a web of wheels, we glimpse a tragedy that resists all attempts of giving it some form and taming it with the magic of language. So her work is never comfortable. It's touching, it's restless, it's irritating, and therefore it's essential and human. Amal Kenawy's aesthetic experimental arrangements cannot be regarded as feminist or Islamic art, but as an art rather that evinces the dreadful depths of human existence, and by confronting us with pictorial solutions, erects a totem pole to counter the horror of formlessness as a sign of resistance. Art as one of the last refugiums of human hope and change. So I end with her poem. So Amal Kenawy continues. They were sitting at the end of the tunnel. They were sitting across the table eating me once more. They eat each other, my legs grow. I give birth to light, and the light eats me. So thank you for your attention. Okay. So, yeah. So if there is any question, you should not hesitate to ask them. But take into consideration that the weather is changing.
Yeah.
So, still, is there anyone who wants to ask something about the weather? Yes, you have that.
I watched the films that Amal Kenawy showed us in this exhibition, and I wonder about the issue, considering the music that she used, which is, I think, is very essential and very touching, and so part of the music that used is an essential part from the show, you know, and from the work. But my question is about using music in an exhibition like this without going back to the main output of the music. Is it for video art, is it possible for using other people's creations in music without asking them? It is a moral thing in art. This is not question. This is not. Excuse me. This is not for all the video art that we have seen, but exactly for one. Maybe in the next room, this. I'm sorry about talking about this very sensitive thing, but I really wonder about that.
You address a very important question nowadays in the arts, because artists always depict parts of our life, parts of reality, parts of our culture. So when you speak, first of all, I agree to what you said, that the music is essential for the videos, which I also try to focus on in my talk. Second, if you think of a lot of artists, they are going to use our reality, our culture as a material to create something new. So everything is based on context. So if artists, for example, like Douglas Gordon, or maybe you won't know her, Ellen Cantor or others, if they use film material, like for example Hollywood material, and they pick up parts of it and rearrange it, this is in the spirit of our time. Think of the DJs nowadays sampling moments, elements of culture and creating something new out of these elements. And when Amal uses music or fragments of music, she integrates these fragments in a new work which is based on this condensation of visuals, images, themes, motifs, and the music. So this is a new work which comes into life because it only makes sense in this combination of different elements. When you ask me, can you use other artistic products for your work? This is also a question which deals with copyrights. And it's an important question nowadays in the United States in terms of videos artists produce, where they, as I said, they use elements of Hollywood films. If these elements are rearranged in a way that a new world, a new work of art is coming into life, now this position is you don't have to rely to these copyrights. But this is still in discussion. But this is something which has to do with right and law. The other point is, does an artist create out of material which already exists something new, something specific? And then it is always, in my opinion, a new work, but also an homage to the elements which are put together. So as far as I know, the music she uses, I don't know exactly who were the composers. But
she did.
Sorry?
Some of them she did.
Yes, some of them is her own, and if it's not her own, I think it's noted. Even in the catalog, it will be noted. So it's not like taking it away from someone. It's based on the spirit that there is a new work coming up, and it's a contribution also of the composer. But to continue the question again, or the question you addressed is an important issue, maybe not in that case, because here it's based on a shared vision to create a work of art. But it is a question which is discussed in terms especially of video and visual materials coming from Hollywood Dream Factory and used from artists to create new works. Is there another question? No? Yeah.
Information that he gave us, and invite you all to the performance downstairs. During the performance, I would please ask you to keep your telephones on silent because it's all about music, and I would like no mobile music on.
And also, if you have some other question and you want to talk about some issues, I will be here, we will be here, and we can continue the talks after the performance. So thank you.
Thank you.